Hello students, I am VLN Swarupini, lecturer in biochemistry from Sri Venkateswara College of Arts and Science, which is affiliated to Adikavi Nannaya University. Now I would like to discuss about fourth semester biochemistry paper, that is intermediary metabolism. So from this paper we have already discussed about catabolism, anabolism and glycolysis. Now let's see continuation part for the glycolysis, and before that let's once again see a glance of the topic glycolysis. So let's start this topic, glycolysis. And we all know this glycolysis was first discovered by Meyerhoff, Parnas and Emden. That's why we call it as Emden-Meyerhoff-Parnas pathway, that is EMP pathway. And this glycolysis starts with the major compound called glucose. So glucose is the initial compound for this glycolysis. And what is the major purpose of glycolysis means, here this is for the energy generation. And during the glycolysis cycle, of course during the glycolysis metabolic pathway, we will see three major steps: energy, investment phase, splitting phase and energy liberation phase. So we will have three phases. And if you take glycolysis overall, will have energy, liberation of energy in the form of ATP, adenosine triphosphate. So this is about glycolysis. Now let's see how this glycolysis is done stepwise. So first reaction is glucose is converted into glucose 6-phosphate by the enzyme hexokinase or glucokinase. Okay, here hexokinase is the enzyme which converts glucose into glucose 6-phosphate only in the liver cells. Okay, only in the liver cells this particular enzyme is required for the conversion of glucose into glucose 6-phosphate. In all remaining cells, this glucokinase will be used for the conversion of glucose into glucose 6-phosphate. Okay, this is the first reaction. And after this, whatever the glucose 6-phosphate is formed, it is converted into fructose 6-phosphate. It is converted into fructose 6-phosphate by the enzyme phosphohexoisomerase. And if you observe this, this is a reversible reaction. That means glucose 6-phosphate can be converted into fructose 6-phosphate. At the same time, fructose 6-phosphate can be converted into glucose 6-phosphate. And this fructose 6-phosphate is converted into fructose 1,6-bisphosphate. Fructose 1,6-bisphosphate by the enzyme phosphofructokinase. And here it is a ATP dependent reaction. That means, as I said, this is under the first phase. That means from glucose, from the reaction of glucose to fructose 1,6-bisphosphate, it is under energy investment phase. It is energy investment phase. So here during this step, conversion of fructose 6-phosphate into fructose 1,6-bisphosphate, there is utilization of ATP. And also in the first step, conversion of glucose into glucose 6-phosphate also ATP is utilized. So in these two steps energy will be invested, that means utilized. And after this energy investment phase we'll see splitting phase. So this fructose 6-phosphate, which is a so here the fructose 1,6-bisphosphate, which is a 6-carbon compound. Okay, and the 6-carbon compound is split into two products, that is dihydroxy acetone phosphate, which is a 3-carbon compound, and glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, which is a 3-carbon compound. So whatever the 6-carbon compound fructose 1,6-bisphosphate is present, it got split into two products of 3 carbons each. And here this splitting phase is carried by the enzyme aldolase. Okay, here the enzyme aldolase is converting fructose 1,6-bisphosphate into DHAP. We can also call this dihydroxyacetone phosphate as DHAP. We can simply call it as DHAP. And G3P, glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, is simply called as G3P. Okay, so these two products are formed. And again, if you observe here, this particular G3P and DHAP are interconvertible. These are interconvertible. That means DHAP can be converted into, DHAP is converted into G3P and G3P is converted into DHAP, and the enzyme required for this interconversion is phosphotriose isomerase. And the next, with this way, this and splitting phase will be completed. And next we will see the energy liberation phase, in which here G3P is converted into 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate. G3P is converted into 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate, and the enzyme required for this particular reaction is G3P dehydrogenase. G3P dehydrogenase. So G3P dehydrogenase. So this G3P dehydrogenase is converting G3P into 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate, and during this reaction what happens is, here G3P, that is glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, and this is converted into 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate by the enzyme G3P dehydrogenase. And here during the reaction NADH plus H plus is liberated. So here if you see this NADH plus or NADH2, this is equal to 3 ATP molecules. 1 NADH is equal to 3 ATP molecules. So this is also a energy liberation reaction. Okay, energy liberation reaction. And the next reaction is this 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate is converted into 3-phosphoglycerate. This is, during this reaction again ATP is liberated, and the enzyme responsible for the reaction is phosphoglycerate kinase, glycerokinase. And the next reaction is this 3-phosphoglycerate is converted into 2-phospho uh, 2 2-phosphoglycerate. Okay, so this 3-phosphoglycerate is converted into 2-phosphoglycerate by the enzyme phosphoglyceromutase. And in the next step, this 2-phosphoglycerate is converted into phosphoenol pyruvate by the enzyme enolase, and this is a Mg+2 dependent reaction. And in the next step, this phosphoenol pyruvate is converted into pyruvate by the enzyme pyruvate kinase, and here ATP is produced. ATP is produced from ADP. Okay, so this is how this particular glycolysis will take place. And here we have also seen about the energy, that means net energy gain. So total net energy gain is 8 ATP. That means here 10 ATP are released, but as 2 of it is utilized by the glycolysis process itself, that's why total net gain of ATP is 8 ATP. Okay, now let's see regulation process, or how this glycolysis is regulated. Actually, why we need this regulation mechanism means, by over production of this pyruvate or overproduction of glycolysis, what happens is energy utilization of glycolysis will be high. And here always glycolysis is linked with the blood sugar, blood glucose levels. Okay, so if a person is having high blood glucose level, this glycolysis will be very rapid and energy will be liberated high, and that is okay. That means availability of glucose is high and glycolysis is also taking place in a rapid manner. But if a person is not having sufficient amount of glucose in his body and glycolysis is undergoing rapidly, then there will be depletion of glucose in that particular person. Okay, and glucose levels will be dropped, and what happens, due to lack of proper glucose, metabolic activity of that particular person will be decreased, and which leads to little complications in his health. So for that reason, glucose glycolysis should not be happen rapidly. So to regulate this glycolysis process, few regulating mechanisms are there. Mechanisms means nothing but whatever the enzymes which are present to help this glycolysis process, these enzymes will stop acting, and they, by that they regulate this particular what we call glycolysis. So now let's see what are the regulating enzymes. What are the regulating enzymes which regulate this glycolysis process? So here primarily we have 3 enzymes, that is hexokinase, phosphofructokinase and pyruvate kinase. So these 3 are the enzymes which act as regulating enzymes. So these 3 are irreversible reactions. Okay, if you see, these 3 are irreversible reactions, and here the first irreversible reaction, that is glucose to glucose 6 phosphate. What happens when glucose is high? What happens? Glucose is converted into glucose 6 phosphate. If that cell is having less amount of glucose or depletion in glucose levels, what happens? Glucose 6 phosphate is reversed to glucose. So in this, by this irreversible reaction activity, these enzymes, what they do, they regulate this particular glycolysis process. So let's see about these particular enzymes individually. So here hexokinase. This hexokinase inhibits, this is inhibited by glucose 6 phosphate. That means by accumulation of glucose 6 phosphate, what happens is this hexokinase will identify the accumulated glucose 6 phosphate and it will stop converting glucose into glucose 6 phosphate. So this is how this hexokinase is activated for the regulation of glycolysis. That means by higher amounts of glucose 6 phosphate, this hexokinase will be activated for regulation of this glycolysis. And the next one is phosphofructokinase. And this phosphofructokinase, this most important regulatory enzyme in glycolysis, and this is a rate limiting step. Okay, so this is also this phosphofructokinase, where this particular enzyme, where it is used, phosphofructokinase, conversion of fructose 6 phosphate to fructose 1,6 bisphosphate, that is the major step. And here what happens, this particular phosphofructokinase, if it observes a high amount of fructose 1,6 bisphosphate, then this particular reaction will be regulated by inactivation of this phosphofructokinase enzyme. And the next one is pyruvate kinase. So this is the last enzyme which is acting in this particular pathway. Okay, so here pyruvate kinase is responsible for the conversion of phosphoenol pyruvate into pyruvate. Okay, so here the pyruvate kinase also regulates glycolysis, and this enzyme is inhibited by ATP and activated by fructose 1,6 bisphosphate. So as I said earlier, this phosphofructokinase is an important regulating enzyme, I said. So here this phosphofructokinase just doesn't inhibit the step of fructose 1,6 bisphosphate, and here this fructose 1,6 bisphosphate is also influencing this pyruvate kinase. Okay, so this is about the regulation, and we'll also see how this particular glycolysis end product pyruvate is converted into further steps. Okay, that means here we should see about the fate of pyruvate. Okay, we are seeing about the fate of pyruvate. So just I'll try to explain about this fate of pyruvate. So just try to understand. So before starting this glycolysis, what we discussed, this particular glycolysis, that means this glucose undergoes metabolism both in aerobic and anaerobic conditions. So in the same way, pyruvate is also, it also works in aerobic conditions and also in the anaerobic conditions. So coming to fate of pyruvate, okay, coming to fate of pyruvate. So this reacts in three different ways. Okay, so first one is this pyruvate is converted into ethanol. Pyruvate is converted into ethanol. And in the next method, it undergoes anaerobic conversion of pyruvic acid to lactic acid. That means during anaerobic conditions, that means due to lack of oxygen, this pyruvic acid or pyruvate is converted into lactate. Okay, absence of O2. And next one is, the third one is, so first one is ethanol formation, and next one is lactate formation in the absence of oxygen, and the third one is oxidative pathway of pyruvic acid. Oxidative pathway of pyruvic acid. So in this oxidative pathway, what happens is acetyl CoA is formed, and this acetyl CoA is it enters Krebs cycle. Okay, so these are the three different ways how this pyruvate can be converted. Okay, and here if you see about the conversion of pyruvic acid to ethanol, I'll just write the reaction, just see. Here, pyruvic acid CH3, C double bond O, COOH. So this is the pyruvic acid, and this is converted into acetaldehyde, which is converted into acetaldehyde, that is CH3, CHO, and one carbon dioxide is released. So here the enzyme is pyruvic acid decarboxylase. Okay, pyruvic acid decarboxylase is the enzyme. So this is the first step in the conversion of pyruvic acid to ethanol. Okay, this is the first step in the conversion of this pyruvic acid to ethanol. So what happened? Pyruvic acid is converted into acetaldehyde. Okay, so in the second step what happens is, whatever the acetaldehyde produced, that is CH3 CHO. Okay, and it utilizes one NADH plus H plus molecule, and it is converted into CH3 CH2OH, which is a ethanol, and one NAD plus is released. And enzyme responsible for this reaction is alcohol dehydrogenase. Okay, alcohol dehydrogenase is responsible for the second step. So this is how this pyruvate is converted into ethanol. And the second reaction or second method for this pyruvate reaction is anaerobic conversion of pyruvate to lactic acid. Anaerobic conversion of pyruvate to lactic acid. Okay, so here this pyruvic acid is converted into lactic acid by the enzyme lactic acid dehydrogenase. Just see the reaction. CH3 C double bond O, COOH is the pyruvic acid, and it is converted into CH3 CHOH and COOH, which is called as lactate, and one NAD plus is released. And here enzyme is lactic acid dehydrogenase. Okay, so this is how this anaerobic conversion is carried. So this is in the absence of oxygen. During the absence of oxygen, during the absence of oxygen, this particular pyruvate is converted into lactate. And the third method is oxidative pathway of pyruvic acid. Oxidative pathway of pyruvic acid, and this is also an aerobic condition reaction. And whenever there is availability of plenty oxygen, what happens is this pyruvic acid is converted into, pyruvic acid means CH3, CH3, C double bond O, COOH. Okay. So this pyruvic acid is converted into acetyl-CoA, acetyl-CoA, CH3, C double bond O, S, CoA. Okay, and the enzyme is pyruvic acid dehydrogenase. Pyruvic acid dehydrogenase. So this is the basically this is not a one-step reaction. This is a multi-step reaction. So here a multi-complex enzyme pyruvic acid dehydrogenase involving. Sorry for the disturbance, students. So here pyruvic acid dehydrogenase. Pyruvic acid dehydrogenase is a multi-complex enzyme. You all know what are multi-complex enzymes. So this multi-complex enzyme carries three kinds of different enzymes. Okay. So this pyruvic acid, pyruvic acid dehydrogenase, and this is a multi-complex enzyme. And whatever the multi-complex enzymes are there, these carry different types of enzymes along with them. So this particular pyruvic acid dehydrogenase carries three other enzymes. Let's see about them. So the first one is pyruvic, okay, I am writing simply, just try to understand. Pyruvic acid decarboxylase, okay, is the first enzyme, and the second enzyme is lipoate reductase transacetylase. So this is the second enzyme, and the third enzyme is dihydrolipoyl dehydrogenase. Third enzyme is dihydrolipoyl dehydrogenase. So these are the three enzymes which are present along with this pyruvic acid dehydrogenase multi-enzyme complex. Okay. So this is how the pyruvate will be converted into different products based on the availability of oxygen or by absence of oxygen or by alcoholic fermentation. Okay. And This is about fate of pyruvate. Fate of pyruvate. Okay. So hope you got clarity about fate of pyruvate. Now let's see a small topic which is related to this glycolysis. Okay. Here there is a topic called posture effect, and this was first identified by Louis Pasteur while studying on fermentation of yeast. So this Pasteur effect for the first time was discovered by Louis Pasteur while he is working on the fermentation of yeast. That means he is working on and here let's see what is this Pasteur effect. This is the inhibition of glycolysis by oxygen. So basically this glycolysis undergoes in the presence of oxygen or in the absence of oxygen. But even though presence of oxygen is inhibiting glycolysis. Okay. So which type of glycolysis? Fermentation. So whatever the fermentation by yeast is occurring, at that time what happens? This fermentation is caused by absence of oxygen. So fermentation of yeast, by this process glycolysis is carried, and during this process O2 is not present. That means anaerobic yeast fermentation is being carried, and whenever these anaerobic yeast cultures were exposed to air, that means oxygen, then utilization of glucose decreased. So whatever the glucose given to the culture for production of ethanol, this particular glucose utilization is decreased, and that too this utilization of glucose decreased for 7 times. Okay. And also he worked on this particular Pasteur effect in depth, and he explained this whatever the fructose 1,6 bisphosphate is present, from that reaction onwards there is no intermediates production, and whatever the intermediate products which are present before fructose 1,6 bisphosphate, these got accumulated. That means glucose 6 phosphate, fructose 6 phosphate, got these 4 products, glucose 6 phosphate and fructose 6 phosphate, these 3 products they got accumulated. But this after fructose 1,6 bisphosphate, what happens is whatever the products like DHAP or G3P which are produced by splitting phase, this particular products are not produced. So whatever this phosphofructokinase is there, this particular enzyme being inhibited during this Pasteur effect. Okay. So this is the main concept in this Pasteur effect. That means this is the inhibition. This is the inhibition mechanism of glycolysis by oxygen. Okay. So inhibition of glycolysis by oxygen, and this is called as Pasteur effect, and this was identified by Louis Pasteur, and this was named after his name. That means Louis Pasteur, and he named this effect as Pasteur effect after his name only. And he observed this for the first time while he is studying on the yeast fermentation. So whatever the yeast cultures he is fermenting under anaerobic conditions, these when exposed to air they stopped utilizing the glucose for 7 times. 7 times glucose utilization is decreased after this exposure to air. And during this, what happened here, whatever the phosphofructokinase is present, this particular enzyme is being inhibited by the oxygen, and only the steps of glucose to glucose 6 phosphate and glucose 6 phosphate to fructose 6 phosphate being carried properly, and these three products are accumulated, and other products, that means from the fructose 1,6 bisphosphate, these products are not produced. So this is about this posture effect. So till now we discussed about catabolism, anabolism, and carbohydrate metabolism introduction, and glycolysis, in which we have seen the metabolic pathway, regulation, net energy yield, and fate of pyruvate, finally this Pasteur effect. So we came to an end with this glycolysis. In the next class we will see about the topic Krebs cycle. Okay, thank you students. Please write the notes. If you have any doubts, please contact me. Thank you students.